and I have another finished blah, blah, blah.
This video is sponsored by my patrons. For more information or to join, there is a link down in the description.
Hello everybody and welcome to this episode of the Lovebird Lane vlog. I am your host Julianne. If you are new around here, thank you so much for trying me out. I do try and do one of these every week, but I have just had a 2-week break, so we try. But yes, I am here. I am still not feeling good. I've been very low energy the last couple of weeks. We had a bit of a personal thing happen the week before last, and I just didn't have the time or the energy, emotional energy left to record a vlog. So yeah, unfortunately it didn't happen for a couple of weeks. But I'm here. I'm hoping this won't be too long because I have other things I need to do today. It's actually going to be another busy day. Yesterday was a busy day. Today's going to be another busy day. I don't have a whole heap of time to work on this. But I have some knitting. I have some sewing. I have some spinning that I just want to finish off because you have seen the skein before, but it is now properly wound, and I haven't counted yardage. I probably should have done that, but I haven't. Anyway, I've got a different light on today. I don't really like the look of my ring light. I've just got my overhead light on today. Now that it's coming into the cooler months here, we don't get a lot of direct sun on our front lounge room until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so I just have to make do with what I've got. Eventually, hopefully, I will purchase a softbox so I'll have a little bit better light rather than the ring light, but for now we are working with what we've got. And if there's a few extra shadows over this side of my face, that is because I have my top light on. But yeah, let's get on with what I have finished, because I have some finished stuff to show you. Like I said, I have some knitting, I have some sewing, I have some acquisitions, because I have been a very naughty girl. So what should I start with? I'm like flipping backwards and forwards. I have my skein of yarn. Let's start with that because you have seen this before. So many of you loved this, and that just cracks me up because I am so anti this skein of yarn. I'll hold it up. Like I said, I have not counted yardage on this one. I still don't like it. It's just so ugly. But yeah, I gave it a wash. It did come out a little bit more even. It has evened up a little bit. The twist it's still slightly over twisted, but yeah. It is what it is. I knew going in that spinning from a batch was not going to be the best skein of yarn I have ever spun, but this is what I have. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to count the yardage on this. As I said, many of you expressed that you did love this skein of yarn, so what I thought I might do is I'll count the yardage, I'll get it all sorted, I'll label it, and then I'm thinking I will set it up as a giveaway. Don't do anything yet. Probably next episode I will announce how to enter for this, and yeah, for those of you who loved it, please keep an eye out for that one. And yeah, hopefully one of you who commented that you love this skein will win that one. So this will be a giveaway, but yeah, just hold that thought. It'll be announced properly in the next episode. And I have another finished object. I have some finished knitting. So you may recognize this. This is my Waiting for Rain shawl. So if you remember my story from the last episode, I don't know, did I actually speak about it on the episode or did I put it on Instagram? I can't remember. Tell me down below if I'm repeating myself. But I nearly finished this once before, and it has this, I've chosen to do this little picot bind off on it, as you can see there on the bottom. And the first time I knit this, I did 2 rows less of this garter section here between the last lace section and this and the picot bind off. So I actually only did, I think, four rows. Yes, so I think I only did 4 rows, and to me there wasn't enough of this garter stitch between the lace and the picot, and it just looked like the lace was just going straight into the picot edging, and I didn't really like that look. So what I decided to do was to rip it back, and I basically added that little bit extra in the garter section after the lace there. So I'm much happier with it now. I did end up with a little bit left over, so I might have been able to do another 2 rows, but it wouldn't have been a guarantee that I could have done a little bit extra. So I've ended up with, I think, 8 rows in that garter section. Ugh, my mouth is getting dry. Yay, anxiety. So I may or may not have been able to get another couple of rows into that garter stitch section, but I'm happy with it. For me now, this little section is definitely enough to give the break between that lace and the picot. So it is finished. I have blocked it. It had a wash the other day. It is grown very, very long. As you can see, it is incredibly long. I didn't aggressively block it. I just laid it out on my bed and just opened up the lace sections. So they are nicely blocked. They're nice and open now. And I knit this from some Madeline Tosh that I've had in stash for a little while. And this is their Tosh Merino Light with hollow glitter. I think is with glitter or with hollow. I can't remember. So hollow as in hologram, because there is, and I think I've got it stuck to my mouth, there are sparkles. I don't know if that is shown. Oh, kind of. Yeah, you can kind of see a little bit every now and then. There is sparkle in this yarn, and it is holographic sparkle, so that is why it's called hollow, or glitter, whatever it is that they called it. So yeah, this is the copper pink colorway. I think it's either pink copper or copper pink. I think it's copper pink. So yeah, my waiting for rain is all finished, and just in time for the weather getting a little bit cooler here in Adelaide. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. The colour is just perfect. I think I mentioned that was why I took the time to rip it out and reknit it, because for me this colour is like completely perfect. And yeah, so I've had it up on my, you probably can't really see that because I'm a little bit low. I've had it up on my dress form upstairs, and it looks really lovely sitting on my dress form. So I've pulled it down today to show it to you guys. So yeah, my waiting for rain is all finished, and I might leave it on because yeah, it's the first time I've tried it on. So yeah, I think I might just leave it on. Just seeing I'm doing a yarn craft vlog with some sewing thrown in, so why not put this on? But yeah, I finished that shawl, and then I really didn't want to cast on another shawl just yet, because I know I've got 2 sweaters on the needles that really need to be finished, because then neither of them are for me. One of them has to be sent into state, one of them will be staying here. So I really have to get onto those, but I have not finished them yet. However, I have cast on another shawl, and I still have something on my lip. Ugh. I don't know if it's yarn, like a yarn fibre, or it's a hollow fibre, but there's something stuck to my lip. Another little side tangent. Yeah, hi, hello, Julianne Pated and Julianne side tangent. I have cast on another shawl. So I cast on a Find Your Fade shawl. Now, I know I'm really behind on this wagon. My wagon is well and truly coming up the rear of the pack, because this pattern has been out for quite a while. It was very, very popular, you know, back when it came out, and you know, which is probably quite a few years ago now. I didn't look it up on the project page to tell you how old this is, but yeah, I found a bunch of random lonely skeins of my own hand-dyed yarn on my singles base, and I thought, well, let's put them together. So I will show it to you now. I guess that probably would be a good idea. So this is the Find Your Fade shawl that I am knitting. So like I said, I am using my own hand-dyed yarns, and I started off here with Bereft. So it's like this browny colour with bits of black and grey and pink, and then it has melted into Mewstone Cave. So you'll recall that Mewstone Cave is the colour that I'm using for my socks that I'm currently knitting, and the Cruiser, I think it was the Cruiser cardigan that I knit, that was the skein yarn pattern, the one that I knit a little while ago with the mohair. So yeah, this is Mewstone Cave here. It's kind of a colour I can't really get enough of at the moment. So Mewstone Cave, which has then gone into Plum. So that's kind of this browny purple here. I don't know how these colours are going to show up on the camera because, like I said, I do have the overhead light and it's a bit yellow, so I don't know how accurate this will be, but I did put a little video up in my reels on Instagram, so if you want to have a look at that, just go to my profile, go to my reels, and I've got a full little 1-minute video there of me winding yarn and casting on and all that good stuff. So I'm up to, I think, section 6 in the pattern if you've knit this, which is this lace section here. So it's basically just alternates garter stitch with lace and what Andrea calls melting your colours together. So I didn't say that. It's Find Your Fade by Andrea Mowry, if you don't know that. Like I said, this is a very, very popular pattern. Yeah, I finally have jumped onto the Find Your Fade bandwagon, and I have 3 more colours, I believe. I have Hysteria, which was kind of a one of a kind. I could probably dye it again, but it would never look the same because it's just one of those colorways that's just throw a bit of this in, throw a bit of that in, and every time there's just so many different colors of dye getting thrown in that every time I dye it, it looks completely different. I have Night Stop, which is one I can replicate, which is like a deep blue with some red on it, which gives then little bits of purple in it. Then I have I think it was Fingal's Cave, so it was another one of my water caves colorways, like Mewstone Cave was, and that's more of a bluey grey kind of colour. So I'm basically going from this sort of grey brown. I only had 6 colorways, but the pattern does ask for 7, so I'm going to end with Bereft back at the begin, like at the end of the shawl. So Bereft will be on either end. I'm just going to cycle back to it after I finish the 6th colour. The shawl is going to cycle through from Bereft through this sort of purple, back to like a purple blue, through to the blue, back to the Bereft at the end. So yeah, Bereft kind of almost has a little bit, I think, from the black dye, because depending which black dye I use, one of them skews more blue, and I think that's what I've used in this one. So there is kind of a blue cast to it, even though it is obviously not blue. But yeah, it does have a slightly blue cast to it. So I think going from the purple through to the blue and then ending with that browny grey with a hint of blue, I think will just end it really well. So fingers crossed it works out okay. I did have an issue knitting this. I got to, I think when I was melting the Mewstone to the Plum, I did a stitch count because I don't count my stitches every row. I just assume I'm doing the right thing. And my stitch count was way out. I had too many on one side, not enough on the other. And I was ripping back section by section, and my stitch count was just wrong the whole way through. So I pretty much had to rip out almost back to the Bereft. So this has all been re-knitted since the first time I knit it. So I'm really glad to be on the right track. And because I'm a bit of a nerd and I don't know what description this would be, I created a spreadsheet with every row of the pattern in it with its corresponding stitch count, so I could stop knitting this at any point in time, do my stitch count and see if it correlates with my spreadsheet. So just to prevent me having to re-knit a third of the shawl. But so far so good. I have been on track since then. So that is my Find Your Fade shawl. And again, I've realised I've forgotten a project that I have done some work on, but it needs more work done to it, so hopefully I'll show it to you. That is my entwined quilt. I have finished the center panel. It just needs borders put on it and then to be quilted, which is going to be the part where I'm going to stumble entirely. But yeah, the patchwork is done. I have now got my fabric in. I did do an order for some fabric to do a border. If my patrons saw that video, I don't know whether anybody did watch it because I haven't checked the views and I didn't get any comments on it, but I put up a bonus video for my patrons last week with some fabric deliveries that I got, and yeah, one of the fabrics in there, I explain it in the Patreon video, is I've got that in to make the border for my entwined quilt. So yeah, you've seen the blocks. I think you saw me start piecing them together. So basically that's finished. It just needs its borders, and I've been doing a little bit more sewing. I haven't been doing a lot of sewing actually. It's just with the way I'm feeling at the moment. Setting up my sewing area has just been a little bit too much for me most days. I did do some cutting and tidying up of some of my scrap fabric because I went through, found all the scraps that I had. I've been given a few fat quarters that have had bits cut out of them from my no-buy group and that kind of thing. Plus fat quarters obviously that I've used and just cut little bits out of. So I saw a really good YouTube video, which actually was something that I was considering trying anyway, and it just kind of reinforced my idea and gave me more ideas on how to properly organize it. I'll chuck a little bit of a clip in. I did take a quick video just before, but basically it's like a scrap management procedure, I guess is the word, where you take those smaller pieces of fabric. If it's less than a fat quarter, you cut it into smaller pieces. So if I've had a fat quarter that I've cut certain sizes of pieces out and I've just got a strip of it left or whatever, basically I'll put a link in the doobly-doo as well so you can watch. I can't remember the sewing channel, I can't remember who it was by. So her system was basically, it was basically what I had in mind anyway, but I wasn't starting as big as she did. So her suggestion was to start with a 10 to basically make pre-cuts out of your scraps. And I'm sure this is not an original idea in any manner, but yeah, I had sort of come across that myself, just thinking about how I want to deal with that sort of stuff. But she just kind of, like I said, solidified it and gave a bit more of a structure to the process. So the other night, yeah, I was cutting things down. Start with a layer cake size, which is 10 inches by 10 inches, then do charm sizes, so that's 5 inches square. She prefers to do hers 5.5 inches square, whereas I just like to go with the general 5 inch, because that's the size of charm pack that you're going to purchase. If you want to mix and match your own charm packs with a purchased charm pack, it kind of makes sense to me to have it all 5 inches instead of having my own pre-cuts at 5.5 and my purchased ones at 5. But yeah, so yeah, layer cakes, charm squares, and then 2.5 inch strips. So it doesn't have to be width of fabric like a full jelly roll strip, but just 2.5 inches wide. And then from there on, if there's anything left, it's either she goes to strings, so anything. Personally, I choose, if it's less than an inch, I'm not interested. It's a scrap, it goes in the bin. So if I can get an extra strip of any size that's over an inch, I keep that as well. And then if there's just little random pieces left, I've been putting that in my English paper piecing kit. So yeah, I have started doing that. I have purchased some bags because she puts all hers in Ziploc bags. So when I put in my grocery order this week, I added some Ziploc bags. So I have those. I think they're the right size because our bags here in Australia, she used gallon bags. So I know a gallon I think is 4.3 litres, but here in Australia we usually use size our Ziploc bags as centimeters, so it's how big it is by how big it is, like tall and wide. And I can't read, I can see the box, but I can't read how big they are, but I think it's 27 centimeters wide and taller than that. And because a layer cake square is 10 inches, so approximately 25 centimeters, I'm hoping that's going to be wide enough for me to slip my layer cake squares into without them getting squished up on the sides, so fingers crossed. So that's probably the closest I've been to sewing this week, is to be cutting up some of those scraps, so that's why I'm telling you about it. But because I haven't been here for like 3 weeks, I've skipped 2 weeks, so I guess that means it's 3 weeks since I've shown you anything. I do have a little bit of English paper piecing now. I don't know whether I showed this or not, so I'm only going to be very brief about this, but this is, I think, is just going to be a cushion cover. So what I'm doing is I started with a really weird random little shape in this. I don't know what I was thinking to begin with, but I started with a little weird random shape, and I added more so that it would be solid rows. So basically the rows are zigzags, so that one, that one, that one, that one. So I've got 3 rows here. So I'm going to be continuing this, but I'm going to be doing them a row at a time and adding them to the main piece once they're all done. So this is just scraps that I've had from myself, from projects that I've done, little bits of fabric that I was given from my no-buy group. I was given a big bag of scraps with various different sizes of cuts from my no-buy group. So yeah, some of them have gone in here. So basically I'm just going to be slowly adding to this, and eventually it will be a cushion cover. And where that cushion cover will go, I have no idea. It'll probably end up in the shop. See if anybody likes it. But yeah, that is something that I'm just slowly adding to, so that can go bye-bye. And I also have been working on my mysterious quilt again. So I finally finished all of my squares. So there was 48 of these that I had to make. And these I have to be careful because I've actually got them in rows. I laid these all out on the ground week before last week maybe, and laid them all out so that I could then start sewing them together into rows and then into a quilt. So these are all piled up in piles of 6, I believe, because that's how many I have per row. And yeah, so these are all my squares. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to open these up in any way because I want to keep them in order and I don't want to stuff that up. But I can show you what I have sewn together so far, because I have sewn together, I think maybe not quite half, because I think it's 6 by 8. So yeah, I have, let me pull back. This is what I have so far of my mysterious quilt, and I have been very trepidatious with this project because there are a lot of colours in here that I'm not really keen on. Like there's a lot of orange, there's like this little one here that, although it is like a purple background, it is very sort of limey green, limey yellow forward in that color, and I've just not been convinced that I'm going to like this finished quilt. But now that they're all kind of going together, I think I'm okay with it. I think it's all right. I don't know what's going to happen to this quilt once it's all finished. I may end up giving it away because it's been fun to make. Like, don't get me wrong, I've really enjoyed making it. I've learned a lot, and I think that's probably the most important thing is the learning that I've done through this quilt, because I am still technically a beginner quilter. I have been sewing for years and years and years, but quilting, I am relatively a beginner, you know. I only started really doing any kind of quilting back in December, so this pattern has been really educational for me. And you know, there's a lot of seams that have to try and match. It had my very first flying geese blocks in it. And yeah, it's been really good for that kind of learning, and it's been enjoyable to learn. I've actually really enjoyed this. And the pattern is called Mysterious because these blocks here, that is your block. Like, so every single block in the quilt looks like that, and it's basically depends how you lay out your blocks is what look your quilt has. So this obviously is the layout that I have chosen to have, like these big sort of diamondy flowery kind of motifs with the diamonds in the center and then like a little spiraling cross. So that was the pattern that I chose. And yeah, there are multiple different ways that you can lay out the quilt. So what I might do, if you are very interested in seeing the other layouts, I actually first saw this pattern on Jordan Fabric's website, YouTube channel, and Donna actually shows you all the different ways that you can lay out this quilt. So I'll put that up in the iCard as well, and you can watch Donna's video and see how she lays out all her blocks. So that is my Mysterious quilt, and like I said, I have not really done any sewing for probably a good week, so that's just been a little bit on the back burner, and I think I'm going to take a bit of a rest from it actually and start something new. Or maybe even this afternoon. Oh, that's right, I should show you this too. And this is the fabric. It doesn't match any of the fabrics in the fat quarters because I got these fat quarters from, that's what I used, fat quarters for the Mysterious quilt. I got those from Spotlight, and none of the yardage that Spotlight had matched any of those fat quarters, so I just chose a navy back, like a navy blue with floral fabric for the border. So I think it will work because there are you know, like a lot of blue sort of florals. I think it'll work. Okay, so maybe I can talk about some acquisitions that I have got. I still have two fabric orders. One of them I think is missing and I don't think I'm going to get it, and I'm really kind of pissed off about that. But that's another story because they say they've shipped it. They've given me a tracking number and it is now a month and a half since they shipped it, and the tracking number says that there is nothing attached to the tracking number. So that's really frustrating. And I haven't got anything obviously. And I've never had a problem getting any of my parcels before, so yeah, I don't know what is going on with that. So perhaps, what should I talk about first? Maybe we'll talk about this super lovely present that I received. My friend Shara, hi Shara, reached out and said, are you comfortable with receiving a gift? I've enjoyed seeing you quilting and I'd like to give you something. So of course I said yes. Like, who's not going to say yes to that, honestly? So I got a lovely parcel this week from Shara. She included a lovely little card. I won't show you what is inside, but yeah, just lovely little bright card. It's so beautiful. And along with that, she's given me some fabric, which is so lovely, and she packaged it so beautifully. I've just been leaving it hanging around with its little tie on it. I'll pull that off, and she has sent me through some lovely fabrics. So look at these, they're so pretty. Let's get that focused, there we go. So these are all Tilda fabrics, I believe, and I haven't had much luck so far looking for patterns, but I really want to use these all together in something, and preferably use the entirety of them. I think these are 1/2 meter cuts from what I can tell. So yeah, I really need to find something that is the right size for me to use 3 different fabrics in a 1/2 meter cut. So yeah, thank you so much, Shara. Like, you really did brighten my day. I had a terrible day on Monday, and to get your parcel and to open that really gave me quite a thrill. And there was this gorgeous little sticker that was on the package as well, which I have stuck on the back of my laptop to cover up my little Apple logo. And again, thank you, Shara. I know I've reached out to you personally, but thank you so much for this lovely little package, and I can't wait to find something to use these in, and I will of course be sharing with everybody. And yeah, so that was very exciting. So thank you again, Shara. And if you haven't checked out Shara, she is an amazing pattern designer, and she does have her own podcast. I'm not sure if she's updated recently. YouTube doesn't tell me anything anymore. But yeah, check out her channel and also her designs, and yeah, they're fantastic, so please go and check Shara out. So I have a little bit of acquisition. I cannot show you some of it because it is purchased. I'm looking at it right now. It's just down here beside me. It is the fabric that I have purchased for the project bags for the yarn advents that I am doing. They are really pretty, and they're going to make awesome quilted project bags. I haven't decided on a pattern. Obviously it's going to be a secret anyway, but this starting advent so early in the year is going to be so hard for me to keep the secret through the whole year, because yeah, I'm really excited. My yarn is on order, and I've got some dyes in, and the fabrics of course, so I'm really excited. And yeah, I'm going to be busting at the seams. I am going to be having the hardest time not shouting from the rooftops what I am doing, because yeah, I am really excited about this. And I mean, I'm glad I've given myself the time, because last year I think I only did 10 advents. I didn't do many, and I think I gave myself about 3 to 4 weeks to get them done and out, and I don't want to do that again. So I am excited to have a longer amount of time to get my advents done, but yeah, being so excited about what I am making is going to be really hard to really hard to hold in, but I shall do it. I shall persevere. I will get there. It will be fine. I can't show you that fabric, but I can show you some other bits and pieces. Now I can't remember if I've shared on the vlog. I got I think I did actually, it might have even been on the last episode. It was the fabrics that I purchased. It was a layer cake called Sonnet Dusk, which is a Riley Blake collection. I'm going to be making the hens and chicks quilt with that fabric, and the pattern is from Missouri Star Quilt Co. It was a pattern that was done on one of their triple plays. It was Misty Doan's pattern, and yeah, it's called Hens and Chicks, and that's what I'm going to be using that Sonnet Dusk for. And I could not find yardage of that fabric in Australia, unfortunately, so I had to do a little bit of a sneaky order, and I went to Missouri Star Quilt Co.'s website, and I picked up some of this coordinating fabric. So this came this week. It came so quickly. When I ordered it, I kind of balked a little bit at the postage price, because the postage price I think was just a little bit more than I paid for this yardage. I think there's 2.5 meters or 2.5 yards of fabric in this, and this is basically for the outer border on that border and binding, I think is the amount that I have here in that 2.5 meters yards, sorry. And yeah, it was a little bit more than the fabric cost to ship it here, and I kind of balked at it, and I thought, well, I'm not going to find anything here that is going to match the way I want it to. And I've watched so many of Missouri Star Quilt Co.'s videos, and I'm a big fan, and I thank them for their free content, so I thought, no, I'm gonna buy it from them. And I did, and the reason the postage is so expensive is because it's basically got FedEx to me. So there was a slight delay in getting it actually shipped, but then I think I got it within 5 days. Like, it was so quick for me to get this here in Australia, so that kind of makes me not so bothered. Like, because especially like this thing I'm having with this other fabric supplier, where my order just seems to have evaporated off the face of the planet. Having it come so quickly, but like, yes, you pay a little bit more, but it's here quickly, you've got it. You don't risk losing, because that order was quite large. Like the order that I've lost, my nose is itchy, I'm so sorry, I keep wiping my nose. The order was like $85 American, which for us here I think turned out to be about $120, which is not a small amount of money for me. It's actually quite a large amount of money for me. And so yeah, the fact that it's just gone off the face of the planet is really upsetting to me. I really hope that something can be worked out. But yeah, just to have this here so quickly is just like, it's really quite comforting, you know, even though yes, I'm paying more for shipping. And it's not something I'm going to do every day. Like most things I can get coordinating fabric here, but this this range, I've just not found it anywhere. And I bet you anything it's going to be like the Exquisite. I spoke about it in the Patreon video, where the Exquisite fabric that I really wanted, that I spoke about on the last vlog, that I bit the bullet and I splurged on Amazon to get the layer cake of the Exquisite fabric that I really loved. It got released here like straight after, so I got it imported from Amazon in America because it was the only place I could find it. It gets into the country, I'm being told that it's being delivered the next day, or like it's close to being delivered, and my favorite local shop comes out and goes, oh, we've got the Exquisite layer cakes, and I'm just like, bugger. So I'm concerned that that's what's going to happen with this. So I've just splurged and bought this from America, paid a lot of money in postage, and then it's, you know, it's going to be released here locally, but who knows. I have it, it's beautiful, and it's going to make a gorgeous quilt, so we're just gonna move on. But yeah, it's really, really beautiful. And as I said, it was the Sonnet Dusk range from Riley Blake. Oh, I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon, guys. My nose is itchy, my throat is itchy, I'm thirsty. So basically this next bit is I think the quilt that I'm going to be starting next, possibly even this afternoon. So although I have that Mysterious quilt to work on, I think I need something that's just a bit of a palette cleanser, I guess, because the Entwined Quilt was relatively complex. The Mysterious quilt is relatively complex. And I think I just need something nice and simple, especially with the way I'm feeling in general at the moment. I just need something really nice and simple that I can work on and have something that's just a bit of a palette cleanser, a little bit of a quick win. And that is what this fabric is for. So I first saw this. This is the Hibiscus range from Riley Blake. This is a jelly roll that I purchased. I'll get the side without the label. So you might see this green here and go, Gillian, what are you doing with the green? But it's kind of an almost blue based kind of hunter green, and I don't know if you can quite see, there's kind of an aqua in there as well. I don't hate bluey greens. Bluey greens are fine. Like my sofa that I have here is bluey green, and I'm dealing with it just fine. So this is the jelly roll that I have chosen to use. So like I said, this is the Hibiscus range, and it's, I mean, you can only really see, yeah, you can see a little bit. It's got actually llamas or alpacas in it, and I first saw this range in the Hens and Chicks tutorial on the Missouri Star Quilt Co. So I'll put that up in the card as well, so you can watch that if you're interested. So yeah, Misty used the Hibiscus range to make her Hens and Chicks quilt, which is not what I'm going to be doing. Like I said, I'm going to be using that Sonnet Dusk to make mine. But I did really like the fabric. Like, I'm really being drawn to this sort of, I mean, this is a bit more green toned, but I am really being drawn to this kind of mustard color lately, and I don't know why. but so I got this came out at the same time as the Exquisite did at Cozy Corner Quilts, which is where I like to purchase a lot of my fabric. She's got an awesome range. If you have not heard of Julie's shop, go and check it out. It's one of my favorites. So I grabbed the jelly roll, and I also got some border fabric, and I think this is border and binding, if I remember rightly. And this is the obviously the this same one as the outside jelly roll there. And yes, it's got green in it, but I'm skewing it pink by adding the blush border on it. So that is what's going to come up next, and I'm going to be using this as well. This is my very first purchase of, like, you probably can't see it. Oh, maybe that direction you can see it. You see there's like little thatches on it. Yeah, you can probably see it there. There's like little thatchy kind of dashy lines on it. So usually I would just pick something like what I've got here, which I'll talk about in a minute. So this is just Prima Homespun. So it's just basically a I've got two different colors here. Basically just a solid background sort of fabric. But this one I thought I got this done from Spotlight. I just did a click and collect the other day, and this was only $6 a meter, and I needed 2 meters, well 2 yards the pattern asks for, and that includes background and inner border. I grabbed that. So I just thought the thatched, because this is another Jordan Fabrics video that I got this pattern from. It's going to be a curvy log cabin quilt, and Donna used like a thatched background fabric on hers, and I thought that's a good idea. I wonder what Spotlight have got. So I jumped on, and they've got quite a few of these. Like, there's some with branches, some with leaves, some with berries, and yeah, I just found this dashed one and I thought that is perfect. So that is what all of this is going to become. It's going to be a curvy log cabin blanket. Why do I keep wanting to say blanket? I don't know. Curvy log cabin quilt. And yes, I'm hopefully going to get onto that this evening. Maybe I'll tell Simon he can play Minecraft tonight and I'll do some quilting. Yeah, so that's coming down the pipeline. See, the thing is, it may seem like I'm buying a lot of fabric, but I do have plans for it. I have set specific quilts that I have purchased the right amount of fabric for. So I think I should probably stop buying fabric for the moment though, because I've probably got enough to make enough quilts that will last me through the rest of the year of sewing time. So we will see. But these also are to do with some fabric that is on order that is coming through, and is again from Cozy Corner Quilts, because I found a pattern. I did do a little text story the other night. I just found a quilt pattern with bats on it, and I must make it. So this was also, dare I say it again, I think you should turn this into a drinking game, a Jordan Fabrics video. Donna made the Night Flight quilt, which was a kit, like it was a quilt kit that Moda put out. I believe the pattern is by Basic Grey, who actually incidentally designed the boudoir fabrics that I also have, that I've made a quilt from, and I'm going to make another quilt from. And yeah, so it's called Night Flight. It was made to be sewn out of some Halloween fabrics, which I'm not going to do because I'm not a Halloween person. Being in Australia, I was never brought up with Halloween. It's becoming a little bit more prevalent here of late, but not when I was a kid, and I'm turning 40 this year, so you know, it's not really something that's ever been part of my vernacular, I suppose. I mean, that's refers to speech, but you know what I mean. So I chose some fabrics which are on their way. I'll put a screen grab in so that you can have a look if I can get them, because I got the final fat quarter bundle that was on Cozy Corner Quilts. The pattern calls for fat eighths, a fat eighth bundle, and you need 15, and this was a fat quarter bundle of 7 fabrics, so I nearly have that 15. So I purchased some extra yardage. And the range is called Wild, and it has, as you probably have already seen, like woodland creatures and things like that on it. So I thought the bats flying over the top of the woodland creatures, even though I guess bats are probably a bit more sort of tropical, I guess, and the woodland creatures are a little bit more kind of, you know, England foresty kind of stuff, but so it doesn't quite gel, but I loved the colors of the Wild range, and I thought having animals and with animals was going to be fun. So I got both of these from Spotlight this week. So I've got a black and I've got a dark brown, like it was called Coffee Bean, I think. And the pattern has black bats and white bats, and I don't get white bats. I've never seen a white bat except for this weird Photoshop thing on YouTube. I mean, I'm sure they exist somewhere, even if they're albino bats, but white doesn't really gel with me for bats, because I love bats. Like, I don't know if I've ever said that before, but like, I find them utterly adorable. I think they are the cutest, and I really, really want one. But yeah, so white doesn't really gel with me for bats. It's not quite, what should we say, it's not quite moody enough for me with bats. And the rest of the fabric that I have purchased, like in the Wild Fat Quarter bundle, etc., is a little bit more on the darker side. So I purchased both of these fabrics. I'm only going to be probably using one. I thought I would just do all my bats in one colour. And I got both colours because the black obviously is going to stand out quite starkly on those other colours, because they're all sort of pinks and warm browns and sort of burgundies and that sort of colour. So the black is going to stand out being a little bit more cold than those colours. So the bats will really pop out using the black. But I wasn't sure whether that was the way I was going to want to go. So I got the Coffee Bean in case I decide to make my bats in the brown. And I mean, it could be that I'll get the other fabric in and there won't be enough contrast between the brown and the rest of the colours. So yeah, I have to wait. I mean, this Prima Homespun, I think $7 a metre, so it's like, it doesn't cost very much at all. And if I choose to use the brown, the black will most definitely get used, and probably vice versa as well. So even if I don't use it in the bat quilt, the Night Flight quilt, I will obviously use this at some point in time. So I think that's everything. I think that is all I'm going to talk about. So this weekend is Easter. I do hope that you all have a wonderful long weekend. I am not a religious person personally, so I'm not going to be doing anything special. For me, it's just a nice long break with my husband home. Simon and I have some things planned. We've got a lunch tomorrow. We want to start working on clearing out our second bedroom upstairs, and also installing some turf out the back. We purchased that, well, I purchased that yesterday for Granger, so that he's got a little bit of turf to go poops and wheeze on. And yeah, Saturday, Sunday is probably the days that we'll be working on the yard and the second bedroom upstairs. And then Sunday we're going out for dinner, and Monday will probably just be really relaxing at home. So yeah, I think we're going to have a really nice, productive but restful weekend coming up. And yeah, I hope you guys all have the same. I wish you all very well. My battery is running out, so I have to wrap this up pretty quickly. But thank you so much for hanging in there with me. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. And if you haven't already, please feel free to like and subscribe down below, and give me a comment as well, and let me know what you're working on, what you think of my plans. And yeah, I think there's only thing left to say is happy knitting, happy crafting, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!